This is why I've stopped making music and started making videos about music, because if you can't teach, so like this has officially happened. Like I've peaked and now I'm washed up, right? Okay, so I have decided, for no reason other than my need for chaos, my lust for chaos, to change my camera position last minute. I don't know, this looks really weird, but I mean the lighting is, I don't know. Anyway, okay, today, again, unscripted, we're just gonna have a nice closed-ended discussion about live shows. I think the title for this video is going to be The Live Show Experience and Why Abstracted Records Bands Don't Play Shows. So, I guess we'll just make this video as long as possible. I used to play a lot of shows. I've performed in front of small to large audiences on various percussion instruments, metal bands, pop punk band, rock band, choir, Japanese taiko, among various other percussion instruments. I got sick of playing shows. 2013, 2014. I just like, and as a drummer, like you gotta cart gear around and it just sucks. And like, I wasn't getting nearly enough out of it. That thing that musicians seem to have, that lust for recognition, that need to be up on stage, I get it a little bit as a vocalist. I get it none at all for being a drummer, which was my most marketable skill at the time. I make music as a technical musical exercise. I've been pushing into like emotional expression territory. I've experimented with that since 2013. However, my music never comes across that way. My music is never a raw, charged emotional expression, okay? And when people go to see live performances, they're there for the energy. Well, okay, can I break this into segments? Let's just get the kind of elephant in the room out of the way. People be like, LOL, I'm so antisocial, and then go to parties every fucking weekend. I don't want to gatekeep you, but like, I'm, I guess, actually antisocial. I don't want to pay money and stand in a crowded room that smells like beer and armpits and farts and listen to a shittier version of the songs that I like. And that's what concerts are, okay? Like, if you're claiming to be introverted and antisocial, why are you going to a room full of people to help you experience the music? Like, everything I need from any of the bands I like is in the album. And if it's not, chances are I don't listen to it because it's specifically a live band. There's some bands that I only like live. Stick to Your Guns. Amazing live performance. No shits about the albums at all. Sun. If they're touring, yeah, I'll see them live because that's an experience. Rarely will I listen to the album. All of the music, all of the albums that I like for the sake of music, I like it on a compositional musical level. So seeing a performance of it is just a big, boomy, echoey room with a whole bunch of sweaty guys looking at a couple sweaty guys. And I'm not trying to be like facetious when I'm like abstracting it down to that level. Like, that is genuinely, to me, the concert experience. I don't have like, occasionally I get like a glimmer of that like collective energy, that vibe, the reason that everyone's there, and like it's all on the same level, but like almost never. And I've been to hundreds of concerts. Like, I used to go like once or twice a week. I've seen every fucking band, so don't think I'm just like, this is just copium because I didn't get to go to Warped Tour as a child. I went to Warped Tour 7 years in a row. And I guess I liked it then, but I've become increasingly antisocial. And so this is the thing, is Design Abstract and Ethereal Void and voice side and basically everything. Those acts exist to make the best possible composition of an album possible. These bands don't exist because of a band chemistry. We're not jamming, right? There's only two of us. There is no drummer, and the vocalist, bassist, producer, and fake computer drummer are all one person for most of these. So in that sense, the most band dynamic you're getting is my undiagnosed slight what's the thing, schizophrenia or whatever. I'm sorry for being a shitlord. Like, I approach music with a different perspective depending on what I'm doing. Vocalist me doesn't give a shit about music theory. Arranger me hates vocalist me, and bass player me hates both of them. And I have to do that so that the music is somewhat interesting, because I will play bass differently than I'll play guitar on purpose so that it actually sounds not like robot music. And if problems arise, I had to rewrite the whole end of a Design Abstract course recently because vocalist me is a little diva, and I would not change the melody of this part where the theory was just completely fucked, because I was basically singing, the chord was an E flat, and I was singing a C over it, which made it a sixth chord, and I refused to change the melody. So music theory me, producer me, had to put on that hat and try to untangle that fucking mess, because vocalist me doesn't give a shit. And I have to think like that in order to even have some semblance of a dynamic going on, because there isn't one. And so seeing these bands live is just watching a computer. Like, I don't think people get that, because I don't think people understand how much the behind the scenes stuff is just a computer. But 80% of the sound is not real. It's just the instruments that are real are the ones that you can hear. Guitar, vocals, bass, kind of. We're going to take bass off of that. You can't hear it. Vocals and guitars are the only real things you're listening to. The drums are fake. The orchestra's fake. The synth is fake. Your life is fake. Movies are fake. And that's not what live music is about, right? Like, very few bands can pull off both properly. I can't imagine what the band Whores is like live, because their album energy is fucking incredible, and it's three people with an amazing dynamic, even though the drummer and the bassist have changed up, but even still the dynamic is there, like nails, right? These really aggressive, tight, three-piece bands that just punch you in the fucking face. And I'm sure the live experience is different than the album experience. But these aren't intricate, delicate compositions. They're loud, in your face, aggressive songs. And the band dynamic coming together is what makes it so great. And we just don't have that. Like, the music that we make sounds good because it's compositionally like that, because I fucking went to school for music theory and I know how it works. And yes, there's a dynamic between me and Logan, obviously, but it's not this sort of improvisational, off the cuff dynamic. Yes, Logan does write a lot of the riffs just off the cuff, sure, but the music is so far removed from that type of thing. It's so calculated, it's so to the grid. Like, it's always going to be in groups of 2, 4, whatever. If there's like something that feels weird and it's just like, oh, that was 3 repetitions, or like, oh, we cut off a bar there, right? That was a deliberate, calculated decision. That wasn't just like jamming. I don't have that urge to get up on stage and rock the fucking place and prove to people that they should listen to us, right? I'm not even sure if I want that audience. Like, I've been thinking recently about this idea that, like, I think I would rather have a handful of people who listen to the composition and understand it for what it is than a whole bunch of people who are like, that's cool, I think that's better for me and for what we do and for my own sanity. And I'm fine with that. That's kind of a different thing, but like the core of it is that like these bands the music never existed in a dynamic that's that live energy. It just doesn't. So it doesn't make sense for it to try to be translated into that. And I have no drive to do so because, like I said, I do not like the concert experience. Like, I saw, like, so Dark Tranquillity is like one of my favorite bands, and I saw them live ages ago. Several albums ago. I don't even think Atoma had come out yet. I think it was the tour for the fucking the Void Inside or whatever that awful album was. No offense, but offense. And not seeing them recently, I don't really feel like I'm missing anything at all, because everything I'm getting out of them is in the album. Like, it's there, and I don't really care about this whole, like, this feeling of community getting together and experiencing the music together. That's never really why I liked concerts. I think when I was young, I just liked that things were loud. I don't know. And, like, I guess moshing was fun. But, like, yeah, the music is not conducive to stuff like that. And I am not someone who likes that. I think that if Abstracted Records bands were to play shows, it would be completely different music. It would be music that was made to be, like, jammed out and played. Like, I would actually have to decide an instrument, and then I would get mad and give up and then not play shows, because I don't like playing instruments either. I like arranging, right? I have no technical skill on any instruments, and I am not out to prove that I am. I don't need to get up in front of a whole bunch of people and go, like, wow, look how big my dick is, look how fast I can shred. Like, I just don't have that. And I feel like so many people that I've talked to, that's what drives them. Like, just getting up on stage and just, like, ripping it, man, and seeing all those people. And it's just like, I don't know, it's so self-glorifying. And, like, I'm not trying to be a douche. I don't have that. Like, yes, I would love to get recognition for being a vocalist, because I've worked my ass off to be a better one for, like, years and years at the expense of every other instrument. When I played drums, I really did want to be, like, the best drummer that anybody knew. When I started learning other instruments, I always just approached it as I'm a beginner. And even though I've been playing guitar for longer than a lot of people, I still have that mindset of I'm a beginner. I don't think I have any skill. And for a while I thought, you know what, maybe I could sort of get up there as a bassist. No, fuck no. No, fuck no. And bass doesn't need to be like that for this music either. So it's really just vocals, and I just don't feel like I need to prove myself in that way. I don't have that. Yeah. So it's twofold in summary. I don't enjoy the concert experience anymore. I don't get anything more out of the music by attending a concert. I think, my nose doesn't work. Like, for how big this fucking thing is, like, I can't smell anything. And yet I go to a concert, and I smell beer and sweat and farts, and it's sticky and gross. And then the band plays songs, and no shade to live sound engineers, but it doesn't sound as good as the album, because the venue is just a big empty box made of bricks, and the sound just bounces around and you can't hear shit. You can hear everything really, really loud, but you can't actually pick anything out. So I don't think it adds anything more than what I already have. I feel like it would have been amazing to see Dimmu Borgir with a live orchestra. But even then it wouldn't have sounded as good. It would almost just be like bragging rights, because I did see them, because I've seen Dimmu before, but they weren't touring with an orchestra in North America, right? It would have had to gone to Wacken or to that, the Oslo Spectrum when they played that show in 2011. And with that, I think there's unique value, because they're playing songs scored with a full orchestra that weren't recorded with a full orchestra. Like Morning Palace, or like all the like the super old shit, right? And that's cool. I think that's neat. And like also they rescored stuff like Veredesbird. It's scored differently this time, and that's interesting to me. So I'll watch the live DVD because it's a different arrangement. But again, I'm just hyper fixating on the musical aspect of it. The energy for me is not a factor. It's cool when everyone headbangs, I guess. But I would have only wanted to be there for bragging rights. I can say that completely honestly. I wouldn't have got the arrangement out of it because I wouldn't have been able to hear shit. And I listened to the live DVD, and like the mixing is passable. I think it sounds bad. I think the orchestra does not sound good, because everything's close mic'd and it kind of sounds like ass. And they have to do that because they can't like XY mic it, because they would just pick up the goddamn drums even though they're like 30 feet away. Yeah. So this is it. I get this question a lot. When is Design Abstract touring? When is Ethereal Void touring? And my fucking autism brain gets so mad that I have to rein it in. And like, I'm just spewing here to try to figure out why I get like, not just like, yeah, no, like I restrain actual anger when people ask me that. And like, I got to figure out why. And the metaphor that I've come up with is like, okay, people listen to music for social reasons and I don't. And yes, I'm going to gatekeep you if you think you're an introvert but you go to parties every weekend. Like, fuck off. I have struggled to maintain friendships if it doesn't involve doing music. Almost everyone in my life I cut out unless I'm actively working on music projects. This is past tense. That's a problem. That's being antisocial and being autistic. I lost my train of thought there. People listen to music for social reasons, right? And I don't. So I make music that's just supposed to be an artistic statement, okay? It's like I don't watch much TV, but I watch this show called Severance. Watch it if you haven't. It's great. But I love this show, and it really spoke to me personally. What I haven't done is contacted the people in the show and asked them when they're coming to my city. Because it's a piece of media that you consume on the internet. I don't give a shit where our fans are from. In fact, I hope they're not from around here, because we're not playing music that really, we're playing more European style shit. And so I'm happy when our friends are like fans, parasocial. Our fans are from Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, Norway, typically. That's very cool. And that is what I'm after. Because to me, putting an album out there shouldn't just assume that you're a live playing band. Like, computers exist, right? And these should be two completely separate art forms, because for years there have been studio musicians and there have been live musicians. And I guess normies don't understand that, because that's always been a thing. You've got some fuckers who just never leave the studio and they just nail out super, super tight takes. But they don't improvise and they don't tour because this is their thing. And then you have people that's their whole life is just like playing shows. And of course you've got some musicians who do both, but that's not an abnormal thing. But it is when you're the front facing musician, right? And that unreasonably pisses me off, because the music that I listen to, I'm not listening to it with, oh, this would be so sick live. Like, yes, I don't like you if you're like that. Because the album is a piece of art and you shouldn't need anything to supplement it, especially not loud, dumbed down, blasting in your face social experience, right? All of those things I hate for different reasons. So when it's like, oh, you made this piece of art, you made Gods of a Dead World, that's a great album. When are you guys touring in my area? And it's like, never, because that drummer isn't real. And I'm playing the bass and the vocals, and sure as hell I'm not going to do both. And also, that music is so robotic and so like, no, it's not like robotic in like the, I don't know, who can I shit on? I don't know. It's not like insultingly robotic, but it's like there is not much room for improvised creativity in that music, nor is there a framework for it, like at all. It's not built like that. It's never built like that. So why that's assumed that we would be doing that or even want to be doing that, it just annoys me. And I think it's a me thing. I've talked to some people about it, and I think it must just be a combination of that. The fact that like I don't listen to music for an emotional response like ever. I've had to work really hard to not listen to music in a way where I'm attending a lecture, because by default, that's what I would do is I would put on music and I would sit down and I would study. I would be like, okay, what can I take? How can I apply this to what I'm doing? How can I take pieces of this and work them into something that applies to my own music? Like literally every time. And so I had to push myself away from music that related to the music that I make just so I could enjoy music. That's what I'm like by default. I'm not just like, oh yeah, this is fucking sick. I want this to fucking blast me in the face. Like I don't like it. I don't. And there's some bands that I do. Like I said, I'm sure if Stick to Your Guns was coming through, I listened to an album one time and I was like, nah, but like when I saw them live, holy fucking shit, I was moved. Like that was a transcendental experience. And they're like a hardcore band. Not even music that I would like, but it's just like the live experience, because it's a different thing. And I wish people would drive a wedge in between those things so that it wasn't such a thing. I was really upset when fucking Agoraphobic Nosebleed played a show because they said they never would. And I'm like, you fuckers, you sold out. Because same with Cognizance too. I'm pretty sure they were just like a studio band and they never said that they were going to tour, and then, oh, now they're playing Maryland Deathfest or whatever. Like, you fuckers. I swear, I feel like Miss Oration is the only one left who is just a studio band. Like, there has to be more people than me. Maybe there isn't. Maybe I'm that fucked up. I'm like the only person that makes music that like isn't complete trash, but I just don't connect to it emotionally, or any music emotionally. I don't know, man. I know I'm in the minority, but I refuse to believe that I'm like the only one who's like that. Yes, but that's what it is. Just to summarize, the reason that none of these bands are going to play shows, you know what? There's 3 reasons. Bonus third reason at the end of these 2. So 3 reasons. First one, I personally do not like the concert experience because it smells bad and it sounds bad and everything about it is bad, and I don't like stressing out about parking, and I don't like sleeping away from home, so I will drive home even if it's 2 a.m. 2, the music isn't built for that and it never was. There is no live dynamic in any of these bands. There's nothing improvisational about it. I mean, we do improv takes sometimes, sure, but there isn't that dynamic because there isn't enough members who have that common goal, right? Like if there was more of us, like I kick out a lot of people from the Design Abstract. There's been a lot of members, and the reason is the vision isn't there. Logan's the only one who's managed to fucking deal with me all these years. We have a common vision, and it's not exactly the same. Like his version of what I want and my version of what I want is very different. It's just I get the final say, and then he gets Lore Master. But nobody else has even like gotten to a point where they could contribute ideas, and I didn't just kind of want to slowly strangle myself. You know, maybe that'll come, except that I'm kind of not doing this much anymore. But you know, this is why I've stopped making music and started making videos about music, because if you can't teach, so like this has officially happened. Like I've peaked and now I'm washed up, right? Yeah. And then like the reason 2.5 is that like low key, we kind of can't really play this shit either. Like we write this on a computer, so most of these songs we have never had to play start to finish, ever. We write them for the sake of writing them. And we do takes one section at a time, one riff at a time. And if the transition between one riff to another is super hard, it doesn't matter because we don't have to play it. As long as it doesn't sound inhuman, it doesn't matter. And that's just how the music is written, because we're not writing it to gear up to play it. And so we're writing things that are at the absolute technical and musical peak of what we can do. And not do as in a 45-minute set, do as in two fuckers sitting in front of a computer. Which means that we can't play a lot of these songs. Like, I'm sure I could manage on vocals. Yeah, I mean, I can run most of those songs on vocals start to finish, but it's fucking rough for Design Abstract with the mixed vocals. Like, it's doable. Bass, I'd have to practice. Logan's stuff, he would have to practice. Obviously he's not a bad guitarist, but I push him in these songs a lot, and every riff is technical. He doesn't get a break. He doesn't get power chords. I mean, that's his fault. He doesn't fucking write them, but still. So that's reason 2.5. We can't even play them, and we're not going to pretend that we can. Even if we had the members, like, it would take so much fucking work, and it's not something we do every week. We don't get together and jam. We get together and record. The jamming, the composition happens isolated, alone. Logan writes a song and sends it to me, or I write a song. That's the dynamic. That's the jamming dynamic. It's me, multiple personalities fighting over each other until there's a song there. Or Logan sending me a song and then me going, this has to change, this has to go, and then completely reworking it. And that's it. That's the absolute most dynamic you're going to get from any of our projects. Hope this helps.